it's Brent in Central Arkansas. Today's video is about screens. Screens are what I grow on. I don't grow in cocoa, I don't grow in peat moss, I don't grow in potting mix, I don't grow in anything. I grow directly in screens. They look just like this. So this is the question I get the most when people ask me about the way I grow. They ask me, what are you growing on and where do you get it? So I tell them where I get it, and there's been some issues with it. People have concerns with, is it food grade, will it leach, is it toxic, and all that, and that's pretty common when you work with plastic. So I field a lot of questions on that. So this video is going to answer those questions, what I'm using, where I get it, and how you can get it if you want it. So that's the purpose of this video. It's microgreen related, but it's how I grow in the style I grow. IHG is what I call it, which is Intense Hydroponic Grows, short for my book, IHG. The IHG Method. Okay, so when you grow microgreens, there's basically, I grow it on 3 different platforms, if you will. It's not really media, but I grow it on 3 different platforms. For large seed, I grow directly in the Bootstrap Farmer tray. This tray has a lot of holes in it. I've used it over and over and over, and it works great for whole seeds that are too large to fall through, and that includes sunflowers, peas, and beans. This is a great tray, Bootstrap Farmer, and it's not only is it a tray to support seed to grow directly in, it's also support for the other 2 screens that I use. The screen that I'm using now is food grade, and it's I think it's also NSF approved for food and beverage. It's tolerable for way down, very low, and very high, way beyond the parameters of where you would grow microgreens. In fact, they sell it as a dehydrator mesh, and it's pretty durable. It's not quite as durable as the PVC coated polyester that I've been using for most of the time I've been growing microgreens, but it's pretty darn close, and it is definitely approved for food and beverage. So that's what I've switched to. This particular screen is the medium, what I call the medium screen. It's got 15 strands one way per inch and 11 strands the other way per inch. So it's 15 by 11. I don't know the size of the holes because I don't know the thickness of each strand, but it's 15 by 11, and I've tested it with medium-sized seed, which is almost all seed except for the large seed I've already mentioned, and really tiny seed like amaranth, celery, lettuce, and stuff like that. So, and I'll even show you what it looks like when the seed's on it. So this is for almost all seeds, your broccoli, your kales, your mustard greens, just about anything, cilantro and beets, and just everything that that this tray by itself won't support. So what I do is I cut it to fit, and I put it in the tray just like this, and then the seed rests on top. Now the screen has a couple different functions. The first primary function is to keep the seed from falling through, because if it falls through this, it's going to fall through the tray, and it's going to fall into the 1020 tray below it, and you've lost your seed, you lost your grow, because now it's sitting in water. The second part of the screening is it serves as a stability for the roots. Once the roots penetrate through the screen, they go through the mesh tray as well and down into the reservoir below. Once they do that, they become pretty darn solid, especially as dense as I grow. They grow through and then they intermingle. So that's another purpose of the screen. small screen, it is 27 by 25. It is tiny. But then the seeds that you use this with are really, really tiny. So if we want to grow this way with food grade mesh, then obviously we want a screen that's going to keep the seed from falling through. And this is what that one looks like. It's 25 by 11, about 25 by 27 or 27 by 25. I'm going to bring you in here and I'm going to show you what this looks like. But before I do that, I want to talk about sourcing this. Now I'm going to put in the description where I got this food grade screen, okay? And I'll even put the PVC coated polyester if you want to go that route. The PVC coated polyester is Green Guard certified to be non-toxic, but that's not good enough for some folks. They want something that's actually been certified for food. So if you prefer the PVC coated polyester, it's a little more durable. It's the one I whack. It's black, and you can. I'll put that link in there so you can check out that site too. So this one, for the food grade, I'll put the link in the description. Now, I've mentioned where I get this over and over and over, especially if people contact me through email, and I tell them where to go get it. And the most common feedback I get is it's a minimum order, and with shipping, it's very, very expensive. So not only that, but people who are overseas, people who aren't in the United States have a problem sourcing a lot of materials that we in the United States are able to get pretty easily. And so because of both of those, because of the expense of buying in bulk, and because some people overseas can't source it, I'm also going to sell these. So I'll have the option that you can go directly to the link, and it'll be in the description. And then my email will also be in the description, and you can contact me directly if you want to buy smaller quantities, quantities that are actually cut to fit and that can ship overseas, and it'll be a whole lot reduced cost. Now I'm dipping my toe into this. I've never wanted to do this, but I also hear your plight. I hear a lot of folks telling me that there's a need for it. So if it meets your need, contact me by email. Email's in the description. Okay, so we got 3 different platforms. Like I said, the mesh tray for large seed, the 1511 food grade screen for almost all seed, and the 2725 per inch food grade for amaranth and celery and very small seed like that. So I'm going to display what this looks like, and then after that I'll take you in the house and show you how to flatten these out if something happens and stuff like that. Alright, what you're seeing there is the medium screen, the 1511, and it is set in the tray. And what I've got here is a cup full of all kinds of various seeds: kale, broccoli, fenugreek, radish, onion, maybe 1 or 2 others in there. I just threw them all together. These are the ones that are example of ones that would go on a medium screen. So we need to prepare the screen before we put the seed on there. You may be asking yourself, why don't you just grow everything on the small screen like this? And the reason is because plants have amazing strength. It's just unbelievable how strong they are. So what you want to have is you want to have a screen that will keep the seed from falling through, but allow root penetration. If you grow everything in the small screen, then what will happen is root will either not penetrate below into the reservoir and get the nutrient water that they need, or they'll be really aggressive and they may distort the screen a little bit. So I've not had any distorted screen yet, but I have had root that won't penetrate below because the seed was too big for the screen. So when you have seed, for example, you buy a lot of broccoli seed, that seed is going to be varying sizes. The same exact broccoli seed, they're all not going to be uniform. So you have really small samples and really large samples in the same exact. So for example, Waltham 29 broccoli, you get an ounce from Johnny's Seeds or True Leaf Market, and that, if you look at the seed, they're going to be all kinds of different sizes. They're going to be fairly close, but there's going to be small examples and large examples. And the reason why I'm talking to you about this is because nothing is ever perfect. And so how do we keep the small seed from, the really small seed from falling through? In other words, keep 100% of the seed we want up on the screen. And we do that by spraying the basic antifungal, and it creates not only a surface for the seed to stick to, but it also creates a barrier of sorts and begins the germination process. So what I'm going to do here is, I got a dark background behind this. I'm going to spread this seed. So spread the entire, well, most of the container here. And we're going to look below, and we're going to see how much seed we lost. And I'm going to tell you, you'll almost always lose just a little bit, but it's okay. It doesn't hurt anything for it to lose any. But you'll see there, right now we didn't lose any. We didn't lose any. And what keeps the barrier going is the reservoir below and the other function of the assembly that I'm not going to talk about on camera here because this is a public video, but that keeps that moisture barrier and keeps the seed perfectly wet. It creates that little bit of support barrier for that really tiny seed that is mixed in, that could be mixed in, and it just keeps it perfect, nearly perfectly. You'll have an occasional seed that falls through. So that's the medium screen. All kinds of seed I showed you there. That's how I prep it. And now, just for example, when I get done with that, when I spread it, I spray it again with the basic antifungal, which is a hydrogen peroxide mixture. I spray it, and that is all that's needed until the next day. You just put the cover and weight on and the blackout dome, and that's all that's needed to the next day. And in fact, the way I grow, for the first many days, you don't even need to do anything except lift the cover, spray it with the basic antifungal, put the cover back down. So it literally takes about 5 seconds per tray. And I don't know, I spend maybe, besides the videotaping part, I spend maybe 10 minutes at most a day with like 8 grows. That's just an example. It's just really, really quick. It's almost set it and forget it. And that's one of the things I really enjoyed and why I developed it the way I developed it. So now let's go over to the small screen, and I'll show you a similar seed setup with the small screen. Alright, now we've got the tiny seed screen in, and the two examples of tiny seed I'm using is amaranth and celery, and they are pretty dang tiny. The tray is damp still from the medium I just did, so that's the shininess you may see there. But we're going to do it the same exact way we did the other. We're going to first spray it down. See that barrier? I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but that barrier presents really quickly in the small screen because the holes are smaller. Alright, so let's spread this. Let me see if I can get around here. I'll do it left-handed. When you go with small seed, hey, someone loves me, they texted me. When you go with small seed, it spreads. There's a lot. It looks like a little bit, but there's a lot to it. So that is tiny seed, celery, and amaranth. You can see that? There's none there. That tiny seed will put roots through that are effective for the sides of the seed. So it does grow well without distorting the screen. And yeah, I'm trying to think. I think I'm doing a shiso grow right now. That's a tiny seed. Lettuce can be, well, you'll know. It's not many people grow real tiny seed, but a lot of the seed that's really tiny comes with a hefty return in profit, if you know what I mean. So celery and amaranth, both, they bring a good return on investment, I guess, if you will. So yeah, so then I would just spray it and we'd begin to grow with that. So in the upcoming months, you'll see me using the tiny screen. I'll try to mention it, and you'll see me using the medium screen most of the time, and you'll even see me growing directly in the tray. Now the cost of the tiny screen is going to be more than the medium screen because there's more material to it. Obviously, there's more strands per inch, and that means more material, and that just means more cost. So the final part of this video, I will take you in to the house and I will show you how to prepare the screen, because when it comes from the manufacturer, or maybe even from me, depending on how I mail it out, it may have all the way up to a crease. Probably not a crease if I do it, but it'll be need to be flattened out. Alright, I'm in here at my ironing board, and I've put a black background on here just so you could see the screen better. This is the tiny screen. It is, if we get it clear there, yeah, it is like 25 by 20, something like that. I can't remember, but it'll be in the video. And it comes, you know, wrapped, and there's little creases and stuff in it. But what we're going to do to make it functional, because it's kind of not shaped the way we want it shaped, is we're going to flatten it out. And the way I do that is I turn an iron on high. This is my iron. And I take a washcloth and I put it over the screen, just like this. And I just iron it. Gotta be careful. You don't want to do it where it gets too hot, so you take small little strokes and then just kind of look at it. Okay, it's got still a little bit of a bend in it, so we'll hit it again. It's better than the other side, but not quite there yet. Alright. I also wanted to show you this for those that buy from a place or from me or whatever, and it comes creased. I mean, flat out creased, just like that. That's unfortunate, but it was pretty fixable too. Just do the same thing. It's going to still have visible crease in it, but it's going to be pretty flat. The rest of the screen's not completely flat either. So let me do this side over here. This is scrap from after cutting it that I'm doing this demonstration on. Alright, so that's the worst case scenario there, is if you get an actual crease in that thing, and it's not, obviously it's not perfect, but it's certainly usable. In fact, I've used them quite a bit like that. So that's all you have to do, and then you put the screen, after you wash it, disinfect it, you put it between the two mesh trays and just let it sit till you need to use it, and it'll be good to go. Alright, one final thought on these screens. This is a mesh tray here, And you'll see that I have many screens in here. There's probably 10 or 12 in there. And I store them clean and disinfected and ready for next use. And I'll either put my cover on top of it, and that's the weighted. This is a cover that's also weight. It's my latest thing I've created. It's about almost 3 pounds, and it works for most microgreens. But anyway, I put the cover on top of it. That keeps it nice and flat, sandwiched between the cover and the mesh tray. Keeps it beautifully flat. And yeah, after a while the screens are just perfect. Another option is to put another tray on top of it, like another mesh tray, and sandwich that with a little bit of weight, or even without weight. It still does it fantastic. So that's it for screens, guys. If you're interested, contact me. The sources for the various screens are below in the description. As always, you can email me and ask me any questions. You can ask me to send you some, and we'll work that out too. Yeah, so anyway, this is Brent, you guys. We'll see you later.